Hi everybody, it's Chuck Hunter at FlexibleJewelryMolds.com, and today I'm demonstrating how to cut a cylindrical mold that we've made inside of a film canister. So first I cut the film canister off the outside of the mold that's already cured, and you can see sometimes there's a bit of a struggle to get it out, but eventually it comes out quite easily. And you can see this is an RP head that was very generously printed for me by Rio Grande, and it's a 4-prong head. And I'll trim off the excess silicone compound, and then I'll cut it along the plane described by my index finger there, so that I'll have an upper half of a mold that contains the prongs and the bottom half that contains the gallery and the supports. I start by making a registration cut all the way around the mold, and you'll see as I cut, I keep the index finger of the cutting hand on the mold. And by keeping that index finger touching the mold, it helps me to keep from getting wild with the mold blade. It helps me to keep from jumping out of the mold unexpectedly, just to have that extra brace of the index finger. So I made a ripple cut on both sides and a flat cut on the left side. Now I'm making a flat cut on the right side. And you can see here, as indicated by the arrow, the ripple cut at the top and the flat cut at the bottom. And here's another view of those ripple cuts and the flat cut. Now I'm just going to continue this style all the way through the mold. And as I get close to the head, I get a little more fussy with my cuts, and I'm trying to keep the cut right along the inner edge of the bearing surface of this particular head. You'll see I just continue to cut one side then the other side, and this helps to improve the leverage that I can get on the mold compound to spread it to get my blade in there. Now just keep cutting those ripple cuts and the flat cuts to open the mold. You can see the cuts going all the way down through the mold. Now I'm actually cutting right next to the head, and you can see the blade going right past the head and cutting the bottom part of the mold open. Now I'll take the sprue out, the rubber sprue, just pull it right off. And you see a close-up of the head, and I'll reach right in there with my blade and cut that tongue of RTV rubber that goes inside the head, freeing it. Next I'll cut all the way around the head, and next I'm now cutting the two halves of the mold apart. These are the last cuts in this whole series of cuts. So you can see on the right the bottom of the mold, and on the left the top of the mold with the head still stuck in it. The head is stuck in there, so I have to make some release cuts, and I choose to make the release cuts along the edges or off the corners of the head. This will also help the injection wax to come out of the mold after it's injected. But once I've freed up the head with the release cuts, then the model will come out. So this RP model, despite it being fragile, can be used over again. So there's the finished mold. I powder the outside of the mold only, not the inside, and put it inside of a film canister, and then I push it up against the nozzle on my wax injector, fill it with wax, and oops, there's a little bit too high of a pressure on that injection. But then we can peel the two halves of the mold apart, and I take that one half of the mold and I press it on top of my C-clamp to open it up a little bit, and the wax comes out quite easily. So there's a injection wax, and thanks for watching this mold making video from FlexibleJewelryMolds.com, and I hope you'll tell all your mold making friends about my service at Flexible Jewelry.